They told me it couldn't be done. Oh, concept soup, you old fool! No way can you fit a 4080 and a Ryzen 7 into a PC smaller than the PS5. Silence, straw man, because with a slop of elbow grease and some slightly sketchy metal bending, we just might make it work, so buckle in for the smoothest ride of your life. Oh, and if you want to know the little tips and tricks for making this kind of build work, well, you'll just have to shut up and let me tell you. But we've got a montage first, so roll the tape.
Oh, my faces, different places, depends on who you know, deciding who I show. Oh, my face is high till someone is dealing. Never had a face with ceiling, moving something more chameleon. Till I look into your eyes, butterflies staring right through my disguise. A world under repair, a bit confused and unprepared. Your love's got me spinning round my mind tonight. Maybe that's alright. I'd rather face your kind of love. I stand with my heart before my head this time. I've been recognized. I'd rather face your kind of love. My face is like old friends from the beginning. Back and forth, the feeling's natural. Is it physical, chemical? Voice inside my head, emotional and underfed. Your love's got me spinning round my mind tonight. Maybe that's alright. I'd rather face your kind of love. I stand with my heart before my head this time. I've been recognized. I'd rather face your kind of love. Something deeper than before. Big peace and not war. Put weapons down, save each other. Something deeper than before. Big peace and not war. Put weapons down, save each other. Our love's got me spinning round my mind tonight.
Okay, time to dish the dirt on this build. You know, when I first saw your mum, I thought, there's no way that's fitting in there. Turns out I was wrong, and in the same vein, it was tight, but we got all the hardware in, by hook or by crook. Now, this build is really pushing the Fractal Ridge case to its limit. There was barely any room to fit these components in. It is millimeter tight. For the graphics card, I had to angle the card in, hook it over the mounting points, give the case a cheeky bend, and plug that sucker in. It left mere millimeters in space to spare. Tough to get in, but I think the effect is really cool. It looks really filled out. I used some cable ties to hold the 12-volt power cable of the graphics card fans, which worked a treat. And as you saw in our temperature tests, the core temperature of the graphics card was a chilly 66 degrees during the combined stress test, which is pretty dang good if you ask me. And before moving on to the CPU temperatures, can we just take a moment to admire how clean and classy the Fractal Ridge is? It's one of my favourite cases at the moment. It's sleek, elegant and refined. It's the other end of the spectrum from the RGB laden sort of hype beast builds, if you like, but it still has an air of quality, something special about it. Okay, moment savoured. Now for the CPU and its cooling array. Went with the Noctua as it's a known entity and has solid performance. The case has a cooler max height of 70mm, so the NH-L12S is the biggest that will fit reasonably. It did decently well. It stayed under 90 degrees in the stress test. Not going to set any records, but it's just fine. And for comparison, I've had Intel builds with 360mm liquid coolers that had worse temperatures. It's because the 7800X3D is so efficient and it runs at a lower wattage. We tested it outside the case and inside to see how it would differ, and it showed that outside the case the maximum was about 83°C, inside the case it's about 89 degrees C. So the case is contributing 5 to 6 degrees to the temperatures, which is perfectly acceptable and about what I expected. As an aside, we also trialled an AM5 contact frame, but in testing this showed no advantage versus not having one, so my advice would be just save your money. We ran a -20 curve optimizer in the BIOS, which improved our sustained clock speeds in the stress test. I tried -30, but it actually made the clocks worse, so go figure. Everyone's chip is a little bit different. In games, the temperature was well controlled and the clocks were frequently hanging around the 5 GHz mark. If you really wanted lower temperatures overall, there's probably some wiggle room to undervolt if that's something that you're interested in. Overall, the gaming performance was excellent, and this is a system that can do it all, whether you want maximum frame rates of 450 in Fortnite, or if you want to play Cyberpunk with all the eye candy turned on, or if you want to go and render a load of high quality 4K YouTube videos. This computer can really do all of that. You're probably wondering about the noise of this system. With so much good stuff inside, you might be worried about that. I'm pleased to tell you that it was running nice and quiet, not silent by any means, but fairly quiet. At the time I was wearing Sennheiser open back earphones, and I'd say with those I couldn't actually hear what the PC was doing at all. I'd call that a win. The great thing about Noctua fans is their build quality, and that translates not only to a lower noise overall, but a more pleasant noise compared to cheaper fans, so it's not going to bother you as much. Now, do you fancy some Fractal Ridge build tips? No. I'm feeling generous, so go on then. I find this case is done best when you take the whole thing apart at the beginning. First thing in is your motherboard, then you're going to put your power supply in, and then you're going to put your graphics card in. And I wouldn't really change this order unless there's something special about your build. You're going to get the most flexibility this way. The power supply is fed by an extension lead. The only problem is that this extension lead has a really chunky ass plug on the end of it, and that's going to impact on some coolers depending on the orientation. I tried all the different orientations of this cooler. None of them seemed to work, so I had to pull the power plug out a little bit and fit it in with standoffs. I think this has something to do with this particular motherboard having a higher CPU socket position, so maybe on another board you'd be alright. You absolutely need to mount this case in the vertical orientation rather than horizontal. In our Fractal Ridge review video, we showed that the temperatures were a lot better when the PC is set vertically. But it's your computer, do what you want at the end of the day, just expect worse temperatures with the PC on the horizontal orientation. But what about the other components in the build? Yeah, fair point, so let's give each one of them a one-liner about why I chose them. The DDR5 RAM, it had to be low profile but still fast, so I went with this ADATA Gamix low profile kit, which is the shortest sticks that I could find at a reasonable price. 6000 MHz and CL30, which makes it, in my opinion, the sweet spot for RAM on a high-end Ryzen system. The power supply was caught on a pretty sweet deal. The SF850L comes in at £115 on this deal, and I chose this because of the high quality, great warranty, plenty of wattage, and crucially has a 12 volt high power cable included natively, so you don't need to use any adapters. The board we used was the MSI B550 Edge, which has generally is sort of a nice board. The problem was the CPU socket was a bit higher than normal, leading to our cooler conundrum that we spoke about a moment ago with that power plug. The SSD was a 1TB SK Hynix P41 Platinum, which is a very fast drive, and it has DRAM on board as well. It's going to be nice and fast. Don't confuse this with the Solidigm P41, which is a vastly inferior drive. On the back of this motherboard, there's also space for another M2 SSD if you wanted to expand further. Okay, so you loved the video. I know you did, because it's a long video and you're still here at the end. With all that said and done, it's time to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Personally, this is one of my favourite designs ever, and I've done hundreds of PC builds over the years. Maybe it's just that I've done so many RGB laden builds that doing something that's a bit more sleek and refined actually is quite refreshing. Now I'm in the process of putting together a build guide, a video build guide, step by step for this whole PC. It's going to be available at PC36.co.uk, so you can go from start to finish on this build even if you've never built a PC before. You can also buy the PC as a whole if you live in the UK from PC36.co.uk. But that's the plug over. Now, if you wanted a bit more of a review of this case, like showing you more of the fine details of what's in the case, we've got a really good Fractal Ridge review video, which is linked down below, and it should be up on screen somewhere as well. Very popular video in the context of my channel, and goes into a lot of detail, well received, so it's worth a watch if you're interested in this case. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll catch you.